questions at the end. Let me pull everything up real quick. Let's see. Okay. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Just make sure. Make sure I hit record. Because sometimes I forget. Yeah, I've got it on. All right, so today I'm going to go through YouTube ads for insurance agents, specifically for personal ads. I did one last week on life insurance. That actually went really well. Today I'm going to be talking specifically about, auto, home. We can talk a little bit about umbrella and life. I'll be talking really, why I've done YouTube. I've done YouTube now for more than a decade, whether it's ads, organic. I'll do a different training on organic probably over the next few weeks because I feel like it's kind of it's built different. You need to do some things differently. But in today's video, my goal was really to help you understand, why YouTube ads, what can you expect to pay for YouTube ads, and even how to set up your Google account. So I'm going to go through some of those things real quick in today's slide with you. A little bit of the strategy, the type of content, really even how to launch it, and how not to fail at launching it like I did with the wrong thumbnail, the wrong title, where Google kept shutting me down for 6 months because I was using clickbait and I couldn't figure it out. So by the end of today's training, my goal was that you kind of know those things. So why, YouTube ads? When we think about meta ads, Google
Hey,
ads.
before you start, Chris, before
Yep.
I start madly writing notes, are we going to get like a slide deck or anything like that afterwards?
Yeah, I'm going to email you, not just a slide deck. I'm going to build a checklist, email it, and everything to you.
Awesome. That's great. I love it. Thank you.
I'm having AI, when I'm done with the recording, I'm going to have AI help me build it. And I'm going to get Becky to help me. And I'm going to build like a whole PDF, put it step by step for you, and email it to you.
Wonderful.
That way you can, kind of pay more attention. And that way, if you got questions, you can ask me now.
Perfect.
And if you've got questions, just put them in the chat. Becky's going to let me know. She's going to message me, make sure that I don't miss them. But yeah, I will put together a checklist. Anybody who registered, I'm going to email that to you. So when we look at meta ads and Google ads, a lot of people forget that YouTube is owned by Google. YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. And so, in insurance, anybody who works in insurance knows on Google ads how ridiculously expensive insurance can be. Like it's one of the highest search terms. And, of course, it's one of the lowest trust environments as well. Us and probably car salesmen. Just they have gotten, sadly, a bad name. But, it's not unusual to pay $35, $40, $50 sometimes just for a click. Not even for a lead. Just for a click on Google ads, because it can get so expensive, especially like if you're in an area like you are, Carlos, in Massachusetts. If you're, in Kansas City, like especially in these bigger cities, it can be very expensive. And so that's one of the reasons with YouTube is it's still a high intent, but it can be a much lower cost. One reason is because there's a few ways to run different ads on here, even though they're still Google ads. They're just Google video ads. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit today on that. On Facebook, while Facebook can be a high intent lead, you can get it. If you're like me and you've done Facebook ads a while, you know that, hey, a lot of times people aren't ready to buy today. They're ready to buy 6 months from now. And so while Facebook can be really good, the funnel can be much longer. But something with a Google or a YouTube, it might be somebody who, hey, I'm trying to solve this problem today, or I'm trying to solve this problem this week. So that's what we would call high intent lead. So, when you go through this, when you're looking at your investment and looking at putting money into YouTube ads, what I've heard a lot of people say, hey, you should budget for $1,500 per platform. So if you're going to do Meta and you're going to do Google, then you should budget $3,000. I don't necessarily agree with that because I really think it depends on the type of ad that you're running. I think it depends on your goal. I don't spend $1,500 on Google ads. Right now, I'm running a campaign at $10 a day for about $300 a month. And you'll probably get a kick out of this one, Carlos, but one of the best performing ads I had was one for the government shutdown. And the purpose of that ad was actually towards real estate agents. And was to show them, hey, here are my private flood insurance options. Here's how not to get my deal delayed during a government shutdown. And so I've got the ad turned off now because we don't have a government shutdown going on. But on September 30th, when we get closer to another government shutdown on the flood side, I'll pick that ad back up. And so the benefit of these ads sometimes is when you build a really good one, you can turn it on and off as you want. I've got another one that's running on different flood zones right now, but it really just depends on what I'm doing. So the cool thing is how you can turn them on and off. The bad news is if you forget to turn them on and off, and if you're like me and you get a notice on your credit card for $1,200 because you just realized you forgot to turn off the YouTube ad, or that you accidentally ran a customer's ad on your credit card, like I did last month, and I got a bill for $2,000. And so that's something you always want to pay attention to, is getting into your ads account, making sure something's on, something's off. And I'll walk through today and I'll show you actually how to, a really easy way to turn it on and off as you want. But as we kind of go through this, you know, a good target cost per lead when you're looking at Google or YouTube ads could be $30 to $80. Now, not cost per click, but actually cost per lead, depending on the type of lead. And I'll give you an example. Right now, we're running a lot of leads where I'm helping some insurance agencies run leads through like HVAC contractors, roofers, those kinds of things. And the reason why we are spending time on those types of leads, maybe traditional auto and home, is there's more profit margin there for them. So, hey, if I write an HVAC contractor for this agency, I may make $4,000. While I'll write an auto or home policy, I may make $300. So in auto and home, we have to be very careful to understand that, hey, there's not that much profit there. But anyone who is in insurance knows that where we make the money is the renewal. You know, having that customer for 5 years, not 5 months. And so my rule of thumb is on personal ads when I've come to Google, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. If I can break even the first year on those types of things, I'm kind of happy if I can keep that customer for 3 to 5 years. Now, if I'm going to spend money and bring in a customer in through YouTube or whatever, then what I'm also going to focus on, all right, how do I get referrals out of this customer? How do I drive this customer to leave me a Google review? If I'm paying this $30 to $80 per lead, how do I get as much money out of it as I can? So that's one thing I focus on too, is making sure that we're sending down the right review campaign. We're sending down, getting referrals out of them. So yeah, it may have cost me $30 to $80 for this lead, but this guy just sent me 5 referrals. So that's just something to kind of think about there. When we get into the ad types with the YouTube, there really is kind of 3 main ones. Yeah, there's kind of a 4th one here that would kind of be short ads, which could really still be considered in-stream ads. But we've got in-feed ads. So in-feed ad is something like when you go to a YouTube search and you type in a word. Carlos, I may have showed you this on our call last week, but you type in a word and all the different videos come up. And if you see the word sponsored next to that video, then that's an in-feed ad.
Okay.
When you click on that, it typically is going to take you, when you watch that video, it's going to take you to a dedicated landing page. So what's the purpose of the thumbnail is to grab people's attention, get them to a landing page, and then you convert them on that landing page. That's an in-feed ad. Now the cool thing with in-feed ads is the cost is much lower. For example, when someone sees that, but they don't click on it, I'm not getting charged. I'm only getting charged typically if they click on an ad or they watch at least 30 seconds of it. So what that means is, sometimes we don't know if it's the first time our brand is in front of somebody or the 9th time that they're going to take action. It's very hard with attribution. However, if they are not taking action until that 8th time and they click onto the 8th time and you're not getting charged the 8th time, your brand's continuing to show in front of them at no cost to you. And that's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of YouTube ads is, hey, you can watch consistently 15 seconds of my ad, but you don't watch the whole thing, but it's continuing to show up in front of you and you're remembering my brand. And so that can be a big benefit of YouTube ads. So when we look at in-feed ads, think about in-feed ads. I said when you go to search, when you go to in-stream, there's really 2 ways of in-stream. You've got really skippable and non-skippable. Non-skippable is usually very expensive. Skippable is either the beginning of a video or in the middle of a video, where you're trying to kind of grab somebody's attention. These type of ads are going to be more expensive. However, they're still going to be, probably $25 a click. Sometimes is what I've seen here. However, you're not being charged, once again, unless someone clicks on it or they watch the entire ad. So this means that they could see this ad several times and not take action. But they finally take action maybe on the 8th time they see it, how many times it's in front of them. So that can kind of be the benefit there. Now, discovery ads is when someone's kind of trying to discover your brand or that you're the expert. So a discovery ad would be something that could appear like on the home feed, Gmail, Google Discover, all these different things. Because what people forget about too is that YouTube ads still show up in Google search, but they show up as a video ad, not a traditional ad. And so that's kind of the difference really in the three main types of ads there for YouTube. Now, what you want to be careful with when running these ads is kind of your do's and your don'ts. And look, I've made all these mistakes. It took me months sometimes to get ads approved. You want to avoid things like secrets, best of, all those different things in the thumbnail and in the title when you're going through that. And Vonda, when I get done with this too, in that thing I sent you, I'm going to have a checklist on the do's and don'ts. So it's going to tell you, hey, should I do this, should I not? You'll know right away when you go to run this, whether it's going to get approved or not. As you're going through this too, and you're kind of trying to figure out your strategy, what kind of YouTube ads should I run in insurance? And it really depends, kind of what your goal is. For example, for me, I run more on the in feed because when people are searching for a problem, I'm wanting to kind of be in that expert search on the flood side. And so that's why I spend a lot of my time on in-feed ads. Because when people are trying to solve a specific problem, I want them finding my different videos. When they find one video, then they may find another. They may end up watching 3 videos, 4 videos, and then they may go to my website, whatever. And so because I have so much content, I spend more time on in-feed ads than probably most people do. However, if you're wanting to just generate leads like you are through Facebook, then the skippable ads might be a good option. So for example, with running HVAC contractor leads right now for someone, we're running them as the skippable ads because the purpose is to bring the lead in, help them understand, what problem they're trying to solve and all these things. Now we're also testing it against in-feed ads to see which one performs better. Now on the non-skippable ads, some people absolutely hate those. They won't deal with a brand if I can't skip an ad. And so you do have to be careful with those sometimes, but you do have a captive audience because they don't have a choice but to watch it or completely leave the video they're watching. And so that's some of the challenges there. Now the challenge also though is that something with a non-skippable ad is going to be a lot more expensive. However, it could also be your target market. And so you just want to think about that when you're going to figure out, okay, what kind of ad do I want to run? Well, what kind of lead am I kind of trying to generate? Am I trying to do brand awareness? For example, with in-feed, I'm doing a lot of brand awareness with real estate agents right now. So that's why I'm running a lot of in-feed ads. I'm not really necessarily trying to get a lead out of a real estate agent. Instead, I just want my videos consistently showing up in front of them. And so I'm running in-feed ads towards real estate agents right now. And I'll show you some tools in just a second as well that I use when building my ads to help me with the keyword research. Some that are paid, some that are free. So whether you're running ads, you're doing it organically, I think these tools can still help you regardless. Do we have any questions so far? Because I'm not looking at the chat.
We can target the ads to real estate agents, loan officers,
Yeah.
title companies.
So, and I'll show you when I go through this tool, and I'm actually going to show you how to use those keywords.
Great. Thank you.
And when I show you that too, I think you've already got an account with this, Carlos, but vidIQ can also still help you there.
It's a wonderful tool.
Yeah. If everybody's not using, if you're using organic YouTube, vidIQ, it's VIDIQ. I think it's like $50 a month. I can't remember because it's been so long. And
It's $190 a month if you want the AI version of it. So, but it's well worth it.
I'll put a link in that email that I send out to everybody when I get done with the presentation too, that you have that as well if you want to look at it. I've used it for a few years. It can help with titles. It can help you with thumbnails, ideas, even a video coach on, hey, I'm trying to figure out this stuff. It does really well from an organic standpoint. It doesn't do as well from an ad standpoint, but it does also let you know, hey, what are your competitors posting on all these different things? And so you can do a competitor analysis with it. So it's a really good tool. So what we're looking at right here is if you were to set up your campaign in Google, and we'll show you actually what this looks like in Google in just a second. But what we would look at is the campaign objective. So when you go into Google and you set up an ad, and I'm going to show you how to do this in just a second, it's going to say, hey, what is the goal here? Is it brand awareness? Is it views? Is it leads? Then typically you're going to select leads for the campaign objective. For the campaign type, you're going to select video. And then you're going to select your budget here. As I said, I usually like to stay around like $10 a day on budget. If you are using something like a skippable ad, they're going to look at your total target market. They're going to call it I think TCM, which is basically what are you going to pay for your ad to be in front of per 1,000 people. I think it may be called TCPM. So that's going to be how they determine your ad cost is per 1,000 people seeing it. So that's what that means. Then in your networks, you're going to be able to select, the search results of YouTube, YouTube videos, all these different things. You're also going to be able to select other video networks. I don't actually have my ads show up in front of those other video networks, but those are basically like partnerships that people have with Google. And I feel like sometimes that drives the cost up and it's not really getting me in front of my right audience. So I'm always going to be cautious there. And I said, I will go through in just a second and actually Google and show you how I set this up. I just kind of wanted to go through here and kind of show you this. As we're looking at kind of pinpointing, targeting, you make like target real estate agents. You can break it down to a location, like certain zip codes, demographics, interest. So the important thing is when you go through all this, is having what I would call your ideal customer profile built. And I will include a GPT I built for target audience building as well. So whenever I'm going to build an ad, I want to make sure I have my ideal customer profile built first. Because when I have that built, I can kind of feed that to some of the AI now that can really help me build this ad. And as you're going through and building this ad, what's cool is you can go through and if you have a cheap paid version of Gemini, the free version might do it. I don't know because I'm not on the free version. But Gemini can actually help you launch this ad. It can help you be profitable. Now, as I'm looking at it, I'm also a little reserved there. I am using it to help me build the ad a little bit, but I won't go too deep with it because sometimes you can't just trust what Google says because they are an ad platform. So they're probably going to try to get as much money out as you possible. So I do have Gemini guide me a little bit. I use some other things like Claude, Claude, and Manus, Manus. Those are both really good. In fact, Manus built this entire presentation. I told it what I wanted, and it went through and helped me build the brand. I went to Gemini as I was working some stuff for ads, and I kind of brought those together. And Manus helped me build this presentation in about 10 minutes, 20 minutes with the information I gave it. So Manus is really good for presentations and coming up with those different things. But I use Claude, Gemini, and Manus to help with a lot of stuff as I'm going through an ad. I may want to know, okay, what kind of ad should I launch? Claude and Gemini can kind of help guide me through that process. So if you've never kind of spoken to Claude or spoken to Gemini as you go through this process, I definitely recommend it. Even though I've been doing this a decade, I still use it every day and going through those things to help guide me. Now, I'm not doing it from a copy and paste standpoint. What I'm doing is, hey, I think this is the right answer. Let me see what AI says. And the purpose of it is maybe AI brings something to my attention that I just didn't think about. So when I'm doing videos, I'm looking at the Big Five. Anybody who knows Marcus Sheridan knows the Big Five. I've been following Marcus, I don't know, since 2018. Read his book 64 times. I'm a coach for his company. But I'm focusing on things like cost, price, the problems, comparisons, reviews, those kinds of things. Now, I don't focus as much on the reviews and the best of class on the insurance side like some other companies do. What I'm really focused more on is I want to know problems, comparisons. And everybody can relate to this, but for a comparison, I might be talking about like replacement cost versus actual cash value. $1,000 deductible versus $500. Doing some of those comparisons there. Or understanding the problems that people are having. So the problems that people are asking. Well, how do I find those problems? I'm listening to my recorded phone calls. I'm looking at my emails. I'm pulling some of the data out of my CRM. Removing customer information like name, email address, phone number, anything like that. And I'm actually having AI help me analyze that. I'm using Manus to I built an agent on Manus that goes and scrapes Reddit every Wednesday for flood insurance questions. And then it scrapes my website and my YouTube channel. And if I've answered them, it takes them out of this list. And if it doesn't, it sends this list back to me. And then I go over that list with Becky and Jacob, our other content manager, every week. So that's one way you can understand, hey, what problems is it people are having. But in insurance, we have to remember that sometimes we can have the curse of knowledge, and we forget what it was like to be a consumer. And Carlos, I think we were talking about this earlier this week, is that, sometimes we use terms that the normal people don't even know what they are, just because we've been in the business so long, like RCV. Most people don't know what RCV means. It's replacement cost value. Things like that. We have to put ourselves in the customer's shoes, understand, the problems that they're having. What was the problem I had when I was trying to buy home insurance for the first time on my first home insurance purchase? Even though it may have been 20, 30 years ago, sometimes I think we forget to put ourselves in those shoes. And when we go through YouTube ads, we want to build that trust. One of the reasons why I'm a big fan of YouTube ads is using video to build an emotional connection. I was having a conversation with David this morning at breakfast about this. He said, look, man, when someone goes through my ad, I've built trust with them right away. And the way I've been able to do it is through the video. Because I've told them, hey, when you submit this form, here's what's going to happen. Here's what to expect next. Here's where your data's going. He said, but I'm not having to spend, 2 weeks building trust. They already trust me. So when they fill out this form or they upload a deck page, whatever it is, that he goes, that's the benefit of video, is I've been able to build trust. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, hey, do I have to put myself on video for the ad? No, you don't. Heck, you could probably do a full AI B-roll ad if you wanted to. The reason why I like to be on video, though, is when someone goes to reach out to me and they see that that was me on the video, they're speaking to me on the phone or speaking to one of my team members, it's just gone to another level of building that trust. And as I send people through this, that's my whole thing, is like building the trust through it, so that I can take a 3-month process on sales and maybe turn it into 2 days, 3 days, because of how we've been able to build trust. They've watched our videos, they've read our blogs, or they've looked at a guide, whatever that was on that ad as they're coming in, that now when we have this conversation, we're not spending 2 days answering a lot of, I hate to say silly questions, but, questions that we would just spend time building trust with them on. Instead, we can actually get down to the meat and potatoes of, hey, the real issue here is I don't have the right coverage on my home, or the real issue is I didn't get a renewal in the mail from my agent and my rates skyrocketed, whatever it is. The purpose is you've been able to already build that trust. And that's why I'm a big fan of those YouTube ads. I'm also a big fan of, as I said, when I've talked about ideal customer profile, but also visual storytelling. About 4 years, I started studying storytelling about 4.5 years ago. I wanted a way to improve my videos. And I wanted a way in insurance. Everybody knows that insurance is intangible. We don't sell a product. So we're basically putting a promise or a piece of paper in someone's hands. So when they purchase it, they don't have this warm, fuzzy feeling inside like we hand them a product. So we have to find a way to take the intangible and make it tangible. And what I mean by that is, okay, what is it I could lose? What's at risk? What could I gain? And like, for example, when I had someone shoot an HVAC contractor ad, I had them shoot it and standing in front of a work van. I had them shoot it standing with the work van open with the tools in there. Or maybe I had to shoot them with a work van shooting the inside, which is completely empty, where they've just lost all their equipment that's been stolen, whatever. Now they can visualize what it is they could lose. And that's the importance of using that visual storytelling in your ad. And as I said, you absolutely could potentially do this with an AI video. You could hire an influencer. I've seen people do that. In fact, I have a client that hires influencers all the time. And the influencers do all their ads. There's nothing wrong with that. But just sometimes when someone sees that ad and they see that person and then they call and it's either a different message that was in the ad compared to what's on the website, sometimes you lose that trust there. And so if you're going to hire someone to help you with these ads or, be an influencer, you want to make sure that the messaging that's in the ad is your brand, your voice, your tone. It's the same thing they would find on the website. It's the same thing they're going to get in the email from you, because that's going to continue to help build trust through all this. Now, as I take people through what I call my trust formula script, there's really 3 parts. There's your hook, authority or educate, and your call to action. It's really that simple. A hook is just really what I like to call, or sometimes Marcus even calls, your QQPP. You've got a question and you've got a deeper question. That could be a hook, like something, have you ever, for example, for a real estate agent, it might be, have you ever lost a deal because of a flood zone? that might be part of my hook there. If so, stay tuned with me for the next 30 seconds because I'm going to show you how to avoid this from ever happening again. And what I'm kind of doing there is kind of giving them a preview and promise of what's happening in the video. But a lot of these ads you're running, on average, probably going to be 30, 60 seconds. So they're going to be very quick. So that hook, when I'm running an ad, my hook might be 10, 15 seconds. Then I get into authority, that might be another 15 seconds. And then a call to action might be another 15 seconds. That call to action might be, click on the link, go to the landing page, fill out the quote form, download the guide, whatever it is. But when I'm going through this formula, it's really hook, authority, or you can think of authority as educate, and then the call to action. So just think about that when you're building these ads. It should be super simple with those three frameworks. And the 30-day action plan is when you go through this and you're launching this ad. I don't, when I go through and I'm creating this ad, there's a part of this ad where you've got your thumbnail, you've got the video. That's one part. The next part is having the right landing page. Because look, you could have the greatest ad in the world, but if you don't have the right messaging on your landing page, then it may not convert. I don't typically run 3 different types of ads. When I'm running an ad, I might run 3 versions of that ad. And what I mean by that is I may have 3 different thumbnails. I might have messaging on 3 different landing pages. And what it's showing me over the first 30 days, which one of these converts better? I'm A/B testing this. And so over 30 days now, I kind of have an idea, okay, this one performs the best. Let me turn the other ones off. And so that's why sometimes ad cost might be more expensive the first 30, 45 days when you're figuring out which one is going to perform better. And then you can go back, okay, I'm just going to run this one instead of these 3. And sometimes that's why ad cost does stay high. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this. And I'm going to go over to Google real quick. Let's see. And we'll pull up Google Ads. And for Google Ads, all you do is go to ads.google.com. I'll pull it up real quick. Can you see my ads account real quick?
Yep.
Okay. So if I'm creating, I've already gone and created a Google Ads account. If you don't have a Google Ads account, just go to ads.google.com. You'll go in, you'll set it up. You'll have to give it your credit card, information, so it can just verify that it's actually human, not AI. My recommendation on this: don't ever put a debit card on one of those things. I learned that the hard way. Always put a credit card, because you can contest it if something happens. Because like 6 months ago, I had Google hitting us, and we hadn't done anything, and it was a debit card, and I really could not contest it much because it was a debit card. And so that was my lesson of, hey, I need to make sure I put this on a credit card and not a debit card. In case something happens, I can always contest it. So let's go like I was going to create a new ad. So I'm going to go to campaign. And like I mentioned before, we got to figure, okay, are we trying to drive sales here, leads, views on our website, brand awareness, whatever it is. Typically, you're going to go to leads. Then what you're going to try to figure out, okay, is this a search campaign, like traditional ad search, all that stuff? For this particular one, it's going to be a video. And then here we would name the campaign. I'm just going to put this as an example just so you can see it. And so, the campaign goal here is, of course, to get clicks. Now, I could potentially do something for YouTube and get subscriptions or engagements, like if I'm trying to pick up a bunch of subscribers, but that's not what either one of us are trying to do here. If we're in insurance, we're probably trying to try clicks and leads here. Then it's going to start to ask me kind of what my goal is for a budget for a daily. Typically, I start out about $10 a day, unless I'm running like a searchable ad where I'm putting like a overall target. Now, you could go to daily. You could go to campaign total, which means, hey, I'm going to run this campaign for 2 weeks. I only want to spend $400 on this campaign. Then you could put that. But I'm running it $10 a day typically. And then for my customer acquisition, I'm going through and I'm looking at, I'm only bidding for like new customers. And what I mean by that is that you don't want people seeing the ad. Sometimes you only want them seeing the ad a certain number of times per day. Like you don't want your ad maybe showing up in front of the same person like 9 different times, because that could drive up costs for you. And so that's what it means when only bid for new customers there when you're trying to do customer acquisition there. When you get into colors and all this stuff, you can kind of decide on that. For the EU political ad, you always want to make sure that's a no. And then for the devices, it really depends on what you're going after, but I'm hitting all the devices here. Especially TV. What people don't realize how much people watch on YouTube ads on TV now. In fact, I watch not like the paid YouTube TV, but I watch YouTube probably more than I do standard TV now, because I follow so many different things on YouTube. And when I do that, I'm watching it on a TV, and so that's what it kind of means when we're talking about YouTube. It's not talking about technically YouTube TV. It's talking specifically on a TV. On the ad schedule, you're going to typically put all day. Now, you could put certain times a day. Like, hey, I only want this ad showing up on Tuesdays from like 5 to 10. You know, you could go through these things. Me, typically, I'm doing this. Like, for example, I may turn off ads on a weekend because maybe someone's wanting a response right away, and it's going to be 24 to 48 hours before we can get back to them. And I'll give you an example on this. Something that's common on this is like trucking insurance. You know, truckers are trying to get you to get insurance or solve a problem right now. Well, you don't want to pay for that ad over the weekend if you can't get back to them until Monday. So you may want to just think, hey, maybe I just want to run this ad Monday through Friday. Maybe I just want to do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And in doing that, you could probably put a higher daily amount on there if you wanted to, if you're only running it maybe a couple days a week. So you totally could do that. In fact, I know people that they run ads to a webinar they do on Mondays, and they do the webinar on Tuesdays. And they only will run them on Mondays and Wednesdays for webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you can really go any way you want there. Now on the, and then what you're going to do is as you go through all this, you can kind of see right here on the right hand side, it's going to kind of tell you the amount of clicks you can expect and all these things. It should take me to the target audience. Let's see, it's right here in the next area. Now here you could, I could hit people in in a certain area if I wanted to, or only presence or interest people in a certain area. This is where your audience gets into play here. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the ads group right now. Let's see. So right here is where we would pick our language. I'm gonna pick English. Now you could potentially run ads in Spanish or another language if you want. I know some agencies that are very heavy in the bilingual. So right here, you see our audience. We want to create an audience. And so let me go over and I'm going to show you a different tool that I use. Hang on. And I use the paid version of this tool, but you don't have to. There is a free version. If I can remember the name of it. I never have it saved on here, so I'm trying to remember it. Keyword search tool. Let's see. Come on. Let me see if I can find my favorites real quick. Let's see. Hey Becky, do you have the URL for keyword search tool? I can't find it for some reason.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. Yeah, put it in the chat. I'm gonna grab it out of there. I thought I had it saved on my computer, but I don't.
Try that. What I just sent you.
Let's see.
I think you'll have to sign in.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I can sign into mine, but they can at least show me.
Tell me if that worked. Did you see? Okay, you got it?
It did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Let's see. Let me sign in real quick, and then I'll share it. No, no. Hang on, I got to log in my Google device. All right, I'm gonna share this one real quick. Just let me go back to share the screen. Can everybody see my screen with keyword search? Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Okay. So
You
it's
can see
keyword
switch
search.
to existing Chrome profile.
Do what?
I see switch to existing Chrome profile.
All right, hang on. Let me stop sharing it. Let's see. Let me try it one more time. Here we go. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So this is keywordsearch.com. Now, I paid for a version of this. There is a free version that you can use that can do some things with. The purpose of this is, let's just on this one, we go to keyword list here. I can put in certain keywords that I'm trying to do. Let's just say auto insurance to make, let's actually say home insurance. Let's just see kind of what it helps generate. So when we go in here, and I'm working on building my target audience, like my ideal customer profile, what they're searching for. If I'm doing like just a home insurance ad, just to kind of use that as an example, is it's going through here with Google, and it can help me. It's going to be pulling up some different things here, and so it's kind of telling me, hey, these are the things that people are probably searching for when they search for home insurance, the different terms they're using, and it said, Carlos, like I mentioned, this tool can also help organically. I've been testing it organically lately to see how it performs, and it has been helping a little bit when I merge it with vidIQ. But what it's doing right now is it's pulling all the terms. It's going to give them to me in just a second. The other thing it's doing is telling me, all right, people that are searching for home insurance are also visiting these websites. So when I build my audience, I can say, okay, they have visited. Oh, I do that every time. Hang on. They have visited, this app right here, or this website. So like I could click here, and what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, people who have visited this particular website might be someone I want to target. Or, for example, this Liberty Mutual one, they visited this particular URL on this website. I could hit them with an ad because of that. Now, if we go back up here, one of the benefits of this tool, too, is like, we can see, okay, people that are probably comparing home insurance quotes in Australia is probably not going to be our target audience. And so, you can see Ireland, for some reason it's pulling all these things, even though, probably because we just put home insurance. We didn't tell it what country. And so, like, I could go ahead and say, I don't like these words at all, or I like them all. Give me more like these. What I'm looking for is something like, come here, it's UK. Let's just say Texas. And, I want more keywords like this. And so then what it's going to do is it's going to give me more different types of keywords of people that are probably searching, like home insurance comparison tools, all these different things. And what I'm looking for here is I'm going through these terms. I'm looking for people that are probably in the process of buying home insurance. What are people thinking about? Probably what are things that are they searching for? For example, it doesn't say it on here, but someone who's looking at a home insurance claim is probably not the person that I'm looking for, but someone who's trying to understand the fine print of home insurance quotes. That's someone who's getting very deep into it. That's probably trying to make a decision here. And so it's probably the type of viewer that I'm looking for. It's just the same thing down here. And if you wanted to remove one of these sections in this tool, you could. And just say, hey, I don't like that section, and I'll just completely remove it. The same thing here is I'm looking for different terms. Like, for example, I'm probably not looking for people that are searching for a historic home. Anybody who is in insurance just understands the nightmare of dealing with older homes. Same thing here. You just kind of go through and search these terms and figure out which ones you want to use, which ones you don't. And then we could go through and look at a website. And then what I would do is I would go right here on the right hand side, and I could download this. And I could pull this up, and now I could go back over to my Google ad that I just had pulled up. I can go back and find it now. Hang on. Let me go back into it. And share it again. Then I could go in, when I go back into this ad, I would go back in that audience and I would put those key terms. I'm going to go back and see if I can find that campaign I was just in. Let's see. It may have not, I probably didn't create it, so let me go back in and do it again. Come on. There we go. Come on. Screen don't want to work today. I guess I need to add a goal. Keeps glitching out on me today. I did select the goal. Anyway, okay. But let's try to see if I can get into a different campaign and just show you what my ads would look like. So you can see, like, one of the ads I'm running right now, as I said, this is actually just on flood zones. And you can see what I was talking about, where I show you where you can turn it on and off. When you go into your ads on the left-hand side, if you go right here to add status, you could pause it right here. And if you enable pause, it would go ahead and pause it. And I'll pause it right now and go back and kind of show you. But like on this one, I don't have a very good conversion rate on this one right now because I'm running it to an old page that's not that I just haven't worked on in a while. But I've been really using it as a test. I've spent like $60 and I've got 11 clicks on it. So my cost per click is, you know, about a little bit less than $6 per click, which isn't bad. But I've kind of been testing it. And so this is kind of where all your ads would show up, is under ads. Ad groups is going to be, you know, your running different, you know, I could run like basically 3 ads in under one group if I wanted to. Now, certain campaigns are going to fall up under certain groups and things like this. And you can see the impressions here, your true views, all these different things. You know, the cost that I've spent on these ads so far, as you see, I haven't spent much because these are in-feed ads. And this one on flood zones has been running for about a week, and I've spent $60. And so it's been pretty inexpensive, but my expectations are also pretty low on it. On the left-hand side here, when you go in, you've set all this up. If you wanted to change your credit card information or update your payment information, you can do all that here. Typically, your invoices are going to show up here that you've been invoiced. One of the big things, too, is if you're trying to add someone to manage your ads, you would go to admin, you would go to account, and then you would go to permissions. Let's see, account settings. No, preferences. Here we go, access security. So here's where, on the access part, here's where you would add someone. And you never want to add them as an owner on here. You want to be careful. You usually want to add them as a manager or something like that, or an admin. If you add them as an owner, they basically could remove you from the account. Same thing as someone's helping manage your YouTube channels. You don't want to add them as an owner. You want to add them as a manager, because if you add them as the owner, they have the ability to go and basically remove you. And I've seen this happen where people will get removed from their YouTube channels and they can never get access to it again. So whenever, if you're hiring a marketing agency, whatever, don't put them as the owner. Just put them as a manager. You could put, I think you can even put them as an editor or something else in there. But that's something you always want to do there. So when you go through this and you're going through, and let me go back to the ads real quick and I'll show you kind of on what I was talking about. Like this is where you would go and put your, let me go into edit so I can just kind of show you. When you're going and setting up the ad, this is where you're going to put that thumbnail. It's going to ask you about the thumbnail. And when you're trying to figure out what video you're going to put in here, you would search for your video here. And that's where your video is going to go that you're going to drive people to. Then your final URL is going to be the landing page that people go to. As I said, I'm running this, the kind of one I have built on my website right now that I've had for years. It's not a big conversion ad. On the headline, your headline you're going to see is going to show up right here. And then you're going to have your description right below it. And under your ad, you want to make sure not to use words like secrets, best of, save a certain number of dollars, especially in the insurance space. You have to be very careful there when you're running that headline and you're putting that description in there. Also, remember, each one of these is limited to 90 characters. So just think about that when you're doing that. On ad names, I mean, you can call your ads whatever you want. I just have this one named number 1 right now. But if I was running, 3 different ads here to figure out which one performs better, I would probably be like 1, 2, 3. And that way I can figure out which one's going to perform better. And that way when my team gets in there, they can see that. And so these are all the different things that you would see in here when you're building this ad. And if something doesn't get approved, you're usually going to be able to, when it tells you it's been declined, you'll go in, it'll say something like clickbait, whether it's approved or not. Let me go back into the ad and I'll show you. Like, for example, right here when it says eligible, it would say ineligible right here. And you could click on it, and it's going to tell you why it's ineligible. It might say, hey, clickbait, you need to change the thumbnail. You need to change the title. And this is where I would go to something like a Gemini. If I'm building a thumbnail, and I say, okay, understanding what Google's rules are on YouTube ads, can you help me build a good thumbnail that's going to follow the rules here? And as I said, I will also be emailing, when I emailed out the presentation back to you probably this afternoon or tomorrow, I'm going to have a whole breakdown too, to help you understand how to do all that. And so that's kind of how I would do that there with that. And so that's all I've got on the YouTube ads part today on actually setting this up, going through and setting up. Here, let me go through and actually show you what it actually looks like when you click on it. Let's see if it lets me click on it. It may or may not. Here we go. So this is what my ad would look like on YouTube. As I said, I'm just running kind of a test on this right now. This is a 10-minute video. And if people click on it, so they would take them to my video. And they could watch that video. Then they could go into the description of that video, download the guide, all those things if they wanted to. When they download the guide, the description, whatever, that's where they would go to. So if we watch like this right here, it should give me the option to see. This video today is for you. So as I said, I'm targeting this video right now towards current homeowners. I've got one that said was going towards real estate agents and all those things, but when they watch this, they can see I could skip right here. And if I skipped, because this is a demo, it would take me to my normal video if I was running in-stream ads. This is how an skippable ad would show up. It would show up either at the beginning or in the middle. So that's how that is, and that's how that would set up. Now, you could use Claude, you could use Gemini to help set up your landing page. You could use something like a ClickFunnels, go high level. If you're using a CRM that already has that with sales pages built in, you could probably even do it on WordPress. I've got one where we're doing some on WordPress right now. But when you have your landing page, you want to make sure you have the right landing page, the messaging. If you're putting a call to action on there, like get a quote, you want to put it on there about 5 to 7 different times. Because you don't want people to have to scroll all the way to the bottom to take action. So you want that call to action to be all the way through it. And let me see if I've got one pulled up. And let me see if I can go to my Claude and see if I got one.
I used Claude to do our pricing page.
It is great, isn't it?
Because it'll do the coding for you.
Yep,
So
it'll do the
I did that when we saw Marcus at BrainShare a couple weeks ago. I didn't get it done by like that night, but I did get it done within a week.
Have you bought Marcus's book?
I bought it when he was in San Antonio. Remember when we were all in San Antonio when we saw him? But I had to buy his new one because I hadn't bought his new one. So
So the new one's completely different. Carlos to tell you, he's read it. We use it. So there are QR codes inside the new one, Vonda, and it will actually
okay.
take you to the perfect pricing
Mm.
page. It'll
Well,
take
I
you to the perfect learning center.
yeah, I did one, and so but I will go back and use that one to see what I need to fix.
I mean, I've been in Marcus's program on for a decade now, and I still use that every day.
Yeah, I didn't have the newest book, but I do now. I haven't read it yet, but I've got it. But yeah, I that was probably the only thing I've really executed since I got back was my pricing page.
So here's the good news with that book too: is what I do is I take that and sorry, Becca was texting me. I told her to text me if we had any questions pop up, so I could see them. I take that and I take StoryBrand, and I kind of bring them together for my what I call my Trust and Grow framework. So StoryBrand also has a new book out. Basically, the new Endless Customers and StoryBrand both have AI implemented into them now. So I definitely recommend those two books. But Marcus is literally, I take it section by section. Like, oh, I need to go back to the pricing page section to make sure we're following this. So I look at the QR code, and he's got examples on there. He's got some different tools like priceguide.ai. Did he talk to you about that when he was in?
Mm.
Were you at BrainShare in Fort Lauderdale?
Yes.
Yeah. So did he bring up PriceGuide?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. PriceGuide AI is really good that he has. His AI trust signals is decent. Me and Carlos were talking about that one this week. He's got a few different tools in there. He's also, I don't know if you've ever used his GPTs, Vonda, when you're creating your content for your website, but they're phenomenal.
He actually put several of them up there the other day. So
So, because I'm a coach for his company, so I get access to the manuscript. So I took what he did in ChatGPT and I basically put it in Gemini because I wanted to build it as a gem. But if no one's using it, it's basically look up endless customers on ChatGPT. It should be like 5 different ones. It should be like content reviewer. There's one for title. He's got a bunch of them out now. But if you just look up endless customers on ChatGPT, then it'll pull all of them up. And literally, like, as I said, a decade later, I still send every piece of my content through the endless customers content reviewer. And that'll tell you, hey, you're missing this for AI. Like you need your FAQ, you need your schema, or you're not diving deep enough into this question. I mean, I could do a whole nother training just on his endless customers GPT. And I've been using it since he launched it. I feel like he launched it on like 2.5 years ago. And so it's been really good. As I said, StoryBrand by Donald Miller is another good one that he also has those QR codes in there. And he's got an AI tool called, I think it's storybrand.ai, that will kind of test your page as well. Hey, are you talking to the customer right on this page? Like, where the customer's the hero, we're the guide. Like my rules, I don't mention the word we on our page more than 9 times. That I always want it to be about the customer. When the customer goes directly to your website, can they tell right away what you do? Or are you spending, half the page talking about how your agency's 100 years old, your grandfather started it, and by that point, you've kind of lost the customer. And so those are just two books that I've read several times. I've been coaches for both those companies. I still use them every day. So, and on that though, let me see if we got any other questions. I'm just going through the chat real quick. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. And Becky also put several links in the chat too for y'all. When I send out an email, I'm going to go ahead and include some of those for you as well. I will also include the link for vidIQ, the link for that keyword search tool that I showed you. I'll even include the link for Marcus's GPT to make it easy for you. And I've also got a GPT built on target audience building that's actually built specifically for insurance. So while I was working on my master's degree at Wake Forest in digital marketing, we had to launch a new product for Lululemon, and we had to take an entire semester and meet with Lululemon and do it. And we collected 25,000 pieces of data. So what I did is I took that framework for the entire semester and I turned it into a GPT for insurance. And so it goes through like 10 different areas. Carlos, you've seen it. I mean, it's really good on helping you build your target audience. Like it even gives it a name, a mood board, all these different things. So when I send out that email, I will include all that for you. So do you have any other questions?
Thank you for this, Chris.
Yeah.
No,
Thanks, Chris.
I do these every week. I put them on our YouTube channel. I usually do them what I call Webinar Wednesday. I just couldn't do it this Wednesday because I had a couple of meetings. Like next week, I'll start doing how to build your YouTube channel like organically. How, hey, if I'm starting a YouTube channel, like where do I start? How do I build a banner? How do I build my playlist? And so I'll go back through, okay, build a YouTube channel for life insurance, build a YouTube channel for personal lines, commercial lines. I'll go through and do all those different trainings, and I'll have them all on my YouTube channel, The Trusted Agent. So just make sure to subscribe on there, and each week I do put those on there. I try to put a different training on there, usually on Wednesdays, and then normally I'll put some other videos on there, some different things like building a niche, like, hey, what am I doing to try to build this niche, the messaging, all these different things on there, because the whole point of that channel is to help us teach to build trust through the process, through the sales
Do you
process.
recommend a different channel for each line of business, like a channel for personal lines or a channel
No.
for life insurance, or is it okay if you
Just
mix
insurance in
together?
general. Like I've got a client that does insurance, and he also runs a podcast, and they spotlight different businesses. And I keep trying to tell him, look, do a separate channel for that because that's a different attention. Now, what I would do, Vaughn, is set up separate playlists for that. So you would have and really you could have several playlists on auto insurance, home insurance. You could have one for new home buyers. And I'll go through, and as I said, when I do the one on personal lines, I'll go through and show you, here's exactly how I would do it on auto, home, umbrella, life. Here's exactly how I would do it on commercial lines. Because I've built a bunch of them on commercial lines for other agencies that we help with marketing, that we go through and we'll build a playlist for HVAC contractors, plumbers, electricians. And the whole purpose of that is that when people get on your YouTube channel, they follow what I call the Netflix framework. And what that is they keep watching. As they keep watching, they keep building trust with you. So when they do pick up the phone to call you, I know you're the right person for me. I know you're the expert in this because I saw all of your videos. My team laughs at me every time someone calls and says, hey, I watched one of your videos. And they jokingly say, please don't tell Chris, because they're afraid I'll do more video. And because we generate about 125 leads a month through our YouTube channel. Not ads, but strictly organic. But as it's like I tell people, we've also been doing YouTube for about a decade. And so on average, someone who comes and watches one of my YouTube videos might be a video that's at least 6 months old. Because what I tell people is it's not a matter of when I want to create the content, it's a matter of when the customer has the problem. So, but that's all I've got for today. If you don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Chris.
Last week it went to like an hour and a half, so I was trying to keep it really short for everybody this week.
Appreciate it. Good to see you
If y'all
again.
got any other questions, just let me know. Shoot me an email, but you'll be getting email either today or tomorrow with all those resources.
Thank you so much, Chris. Talk to you
Thanks,
next week.
Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.